How are you going to cook your food? How are you going to grow your food? How are you going to do your laundry? Well, welcome back to the channel, guys. I kind of wanted to have a little one-on-one with you today and have a little chat. I'm sitting on my front porch. It's going to be a really hot day, but luckily we have a beautiful, beautiful breeze. I was thinking about it when I was going in my head over the things that I wanted to do in the morning when I was laying in bed. And I know there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. There's a lot of things you're hearing in the news. Just don't listen to the news. That's what I do. But just try not to listen to the news because it's not good for your soul and your mind, and just worry about taking care of yourself and your family right now. I think it's important that we start to be prepared. And I know people are talking all over the place about storing up food, storing up food, storing up food. But I think there's a lot more to it than just storing up the food to help you be prepared just in case there's power outages. Maybe you don't have access to electricity. What if you need water? What are you going to do? How are you going to cook your food? How are you going to grow your food? How are you going to do your laundry? I mean, all these things really come into play. So I know a lot of you guys have a great prepper pantry, but what about all these other things that go with the food? So today I want you to come along with me because we live totally off grid. We've lived here over 13 years. We don't have any public utilities. We don't have any gas, electric, water, nothing like that. Everything we do ourselves. We have a composting toilet. We collect rainwater that we get our water from. I do laundry, we take baths with, we drink, all that. Everything that we do here, we are our own utility company here. Maybe some of these things that we're doing, you guys could possibly implement or just have somewhere stored that you'll be able to use just in case you have an emergency and you don't have access to electricity or you don't have access to water, or maybe you can't get to the store for a really long time. So what I wanted to do is you get to follow me along. You can be my little shadow today and see what happens. All right, let's get going. So today is one of those days where I'm just having do everything day. So you guys are kind of hanging out with me. I'm going to be cooking, I'm going to be doing a little laundry, and just a lot of things around here on the homestead. What are you going to do? What happens if you don't have any water? What if there's an emergency, and your water is shut off and you don't have any access to water? Maybe think about some type of rainwater catchment, if you could possibly put a barrel somewhere where you could get some water. And also know that your hot water heater does usually have quite a few gallons of water, so that's another backup for you too, just in case, because I'm doing laundry right now. What are you guys going to do if you need to do laundry and you don't have electricity to use your washing machine and dryer? So we live off grid. I have an off-grid washing machine and I do laundry all the time with this, but some people aren't going to get the off-grid washing machine that I have. You might want something a little simpler. So I just kind of wanted to give you some ideas to maybe start thinking and preparing. Everyone needs clean clothes. There's a couple simple things that you can do. So I wanted to show you. Come on over here. My little laundry helper here. So all you really need is a 5-gallon bucket or one of these plastic totes. You could also do it in your bathtub. So any place you can put some water. I'm filling this up. Right now it's sheet day. I'm washing sheets. You put the sheets in there. You could put some soap in there. Pretend that there's soap in there. And then this thing here, it looks like a plunger you use in your toilet. It's called a breathable washer. It kind of has things on the inside. So it basically simulates like the agitator in your washing machine. And all you're going to do is with your soap in here, you'll do that for a little bit. Simple and easy. And that's it. And then you'll just need a place where you could either wring it out by hand, or I know a lot of people right here attached to my washing machine, I do have a wringer. If you want to get a wringer, you can. Otherwise, just use your hand. And then you're going to hang it up on the clothesline, and that's it. Just be prepared. Have some way to do your laundry. And this breathable washer I got from Layman's.com, and Layman's in Kidron, Ohio. And it's wonderful. They're very inexpensive. And it's something that you guys would probably do really well with to add to your prep stores so that you can do laundry in case of an emergency. Now, if you guys are in a situation where you don't have water and you need to do your laundry, and let's say you're using this breathable washer, and maybe you don't have a lot of water. I just use a lot of water because we collect rainwater. We have a rainwater catchment. So I put my water in here because this is going to be my rinse tub for later. But for you, if you're doing the breathable washer, you don't need that much water to do your laundry with, and then you can go ahead and rinse it out. And the other good part of it, as you can see, is kids like to do laundry. Can you do this one? Yeah. I've never had a child like to do laundry until I got this washing machine here. And then the other thing is when I'm doing my laundry, I just usually will kind of agitate it either with that or with my machine here, and then I let it set. And I'll go do some other things and then I'll come back. You want to do this now?
Yeah.
Show us how you do it.
It's kind of hard.
There you go. And then I'll just let it set, go about my business, and come back. Easy, easy. And now you have a way to do your laundry too in case of an emergency. Did you guys know back during World War I, Woodrow Wilson declared kind of like a state of emergency, stating he wanted all Americans to grow foods in their gardens. They called them either war gardens or Liberty gardens or victory gardens. And he wanted them to start growing their own food due to possible food scarcity or food shortages due to the wartime. And I think right now, and what's going on in our country right now, who knows if we're going to have a food shortage, because we're having lots of things happening in the news that you're hearing that are causing, you know, lots of disruption in our food chain. And I was reading in 1940s, early 40s, over 40% of all the American households got all their fruits and vegetables from their garden that they grew. And a lot of these people, if you didn't have it in your yard, you could have it in a park, a church, different organizations, playgrounds. They just would grow these gardens everywhere, and everyone would share and would work together. And that's why they worked as a community. And that's where I think a lot of us all need to start heading towards. But what I wanted to do is show you in my garden here that there's lots of options, because a lot of people get discouraged because when they see, you know, a lot of the beds that I have, people are like, oh my gosh, I can never do that. You don't have to. You can start anywhere. I have a friend and she wanted to garden, but just wasn't sure. It would be a little too overwhelming. And so I just gave her like a little dirt with some mint, some peppermint, some spearmint, some lemongrass. I gave her some stevia. She's got tomato plant, a bunch of these things. They're just right. She's got a little teeny front porch. They're on her front porch, but now she feels empowered. She's like, you know, I can do this. And so now she wants to do more and more with these things that she's growing, because a lot of these are perennials. They will come back. She could save the seeds. They're things that she can take off and use as teas, adding flavor to her foods, and they're very nutrient dense. So you guys can start somewhere. As you can see over here, I have some potatoes growing out of old feed tub, an old pot, a 5-gallon bucket. You know, and like the buckets have holes in the bottom of them. They're perfect for drainage. Over here, in this pot here, I have some lemongrass. Lemongrass has that wonderful lemon flavor. You can dry it, use it in your teas, use it to flavor your foods. And over here, I have my stevia. So this is the way I can sweeten my foods. I can put the leaves in rice. It makes them sweet. I can use them in my drinks. I can use it fresh or dried. So this is another way I can use it as a sweetener. This doesn't take up much space and it's easy to dry also. And I know a lot of people always say, oh, gardening is so hard, it has its challenges. And yes, it does, it has its challenges. You're gonna have your good years and your bad years, but you're always gonna have some things that grow really well and some things that may not. So that's what you're gonna go ahead and eat. They say, you know, eat what's in season. So that's what you're gonna eat, and you're gonna get really good at coming up with lots of ways to make lots of recipes if you have a lot of tomatoes with tomatoes, right? But I kinda wanted to show you, come on over here. Look in here. Can you see? So yesterday my guineas decided to come in, and normally they have the whole back area where they lay their eggs and then they'll raise their little babies in the back part of my garden. Well, they decided to come and crush my onions and my oregano and everything and wanted to start making their nest here. And this isn't gonna work because I gotta clear it out. But what I wanted to do is show you, there's a challenge right there. So sometimes, you know, stuff happens, you just gotta deal with it and just make sure you have other, like if you're growing in pots or growing, you know, in raised beds, I like to do maybe more than one thing of the same. So if I have a tomato plant here or onions here, I have onions somewhere else, just in case. Or maybe you'll have a pest load, squash bugs maybe in this one, but you might not get them in the other one. So I always try to plant a couple of the same thing in different locations, and it really does help a lot. Come over here and look. I'm really a big advocate to let some of these wonderful wild herbs, I'm gonna call them wild herbs. This is lamb's quarter, or they call it wild spinach. But I don't want to call them weeds because they're not weeds, because they are much more nutritious than probably what you're going to grow in the garden. I know in the past few videos I've really stressed about getting some books on wild foraging, a lot of these plants that grow native to your areas, to find out which ones that are edible and which ones aren't. But lamb's quarter grows pretty much anywhere, and it's a wonderful, nutritious, very nutritionally dense plant, and I let it grow in my gardens, and I use it just like I would use any other green, like I'd use spinach or in my salad. So don't get yourself upset if you have dandelions in your garden, because they're really nutritious too. It's okay to have weeds in your garden. It's not going to hurt you. Not everyone in the world has a perfect garden. I don't have a perfect garden. You're going to have weeds. Stuff happens. Life happens. So just do something. So my challenge to you guys today is, if you're not growing a garden, I want you to start growing something. You know, right now we're in a time of year for most climates right now where you're probably able to grow something right now. You know, a herb is a great place to start, especially a perennial that'll keep coming back. So just kind of dip your toes in the water, and if you're already growing something, maybe start expanding, growing more. And you can hear my guineas behind me because they're upset that I bother their nest, because I'm gonna have to take their eggs too. So now you guys are growing your food, or you're prepping it. You have a lot of food in your pantry stocked up. How are you going to cook it? What if there's an emergency, you don't have any electricity? How are you going to cook it? going to cook it with no electricity. It could be winter, it can be summer, it could be spring, it could be fall. How are you going to cook it? So when we moved off grid, one of the things that we had gotten, I had it in a box for over a year because we had started prepping, you know, before we moved off grid, and I never used this thing. And then after we had been here for a while, I'm like, oh, let's open it up and see. And I use this thing called the All-American Sun Oven. And I can't tell you guys, this thing is absolutely amazing. It is very light. It will maybe weigh 22 pounds, 23 pounds. You can carry it just like a suitcase. It is very easy to clean. It has a glass right here, glass top, and it cooks just like an oven. You just face it right toward the sun. It'll get up to 300 degrees, 350 degrees, 400 degrees, you know, depending on the time of year or you know, how intense the sun is. And it will cook just like a regular oven. Everyone's like, well, can it cook bread? Can it cook this? It can cook anything. I can put, you know, corn on the cob and the shuck in it. I can put a whole potato in there, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes. Today I'm cooking 3 chuck roasts, and then I'm cooking another container that has potatoes and carrots in it with some butter. So I'm cooking all that in there. You can cook dessert, you can do cobblers. I mean, you can cook anything. This thing has been priceless to me, living off grid. I have a lot of friends who have gotten these because they are in the heat of summer and they don't want to heat up their kitchen. So this is a wonderful way that you can do your baking in the summertime, you know, on something like this. So when you're coming with your preps, you want to come up with things that will help you when you don't have electricity. And I want to show you. So we have an outside kitchen here. I like to have multiple ways I'll be able to cook. In the winter months, I have a wood-burning cook stove, which is in the house, that heats our house, and also I cook on it. In the spring, summer, and fall, I'll use my sun oven, but I'm going to show you some of the other ways that you might want to start implementing or have these little backups, just in case you're not going to have electricity. So come on over here now. So something else you might want to think of is maybe having a pit or something that you can use wood to cook with. So right here we have one of these cowboy grills. I mean, you could get an old barrel, get an old screen from an old grill. I mean, you guys could come up with lots of different ways. When we first moved here, I would boil this up and I would can to make jellies and things like that. You could do, and even with our chickens, when we would process our chickens, when you need to feather them. I mean, I've used this thing for lots and lots of different things, and it comes in very handy, especially if you want to roast some marshmallows too. It's fun to sit around it. So it has multiple uses around here. This thing has been priceless. I've used this thing for a lot. So look into something like this, and then let me show you something else. And then of course we also have a grill, a propane grill, and I also have a 3-burner over here. So I have multiple ways that I can cook, just in case. So what if I can't get propane? I'm going to cook on my wood cowboy grill out there, or I'm going to do my sun oven. So there you go. So always come up with lots of different options. And stay tuned to the end and you can see what this delicious meal looks like. And if you guys are interested in getting an All-American Sun Oven, you can get an Off Grid with Doug and Stacy package. Go to offgridwithdougandstacy.com and go to the shop tab, and you guys can get an All-American Sun Oven too. So just a little video hanging out with me today, doing my day-to-day stuff. A little preparation really doesn't take much. And then if you need it, you always have it. So just a little encouragement, just to make sure you got something to cook your food with, a way to do your laundry, and growing some food. And you guys got it going on. So you have a great day. Leave a comment below. You can just tell me whatever you want to tell me. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.
I've been thinking I might up and leave the city. I've been praying on some simple Midwest living, homestead instead of my own 9 to 5.